Hello, friends, and I just took a vitamin and it feels like it's stuck. That ever happened to you? Hello, friends, and welcome to the next episode of the Juicebox Podcast. For fun, I'm going to use the old music today. Here we go. We got Carrie today. She's had type 1 diabetes, since she's 4.5 years old. She's 50 now. And she hasn't, for most of her life with type 1, known a lot about diabetes, but she's beginning to learn now. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. When you place your first order for AG1 with my link, you'll get 5 free travel packs and a free year's supply of vitamin D. Drink ag1.com/juicebox. Don't forget to save 40% off of your entire order at CozyEarth.com. All you have to do is use the offer code JUICEBOX at checkout. That's JUICEBOX at checkout to save 40% at CozyEarth.com. This vitamin is still kind of stuck, but have you ever burped after taking a capsule and had the dust from the vitamin come out? Very disconcerting if it ever happens to you. What am I supposed to tell you? Oh, if you have type 1 diabetes or you're the caregiver of someone with type 1 and you're a U.S. resident, please go to touchedbytype1.org/juicebox and complete the survey. That's it. U.S. resident who has diabetes or is the caregiver, go complete that survey, touchedbytype1.org/juicebox. The episode you're about to listen to was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Go check them out right now on Facebook, Instagram, and of course at touchedbytype1.org. Check out that programs tab when you get to the website to see all the great things that they're doing for people living with type 1 diabetes. Touchedbytype1.org. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Eversense. The Eversense CGM is more convenient, requiring only one sensor every 6 months. It offers more flexibility with its easy on, easy off smart transmitter, and allows you to take a break when needed. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. This show is sponsored today by the glucagon that my daughter carries, Gvoke HypoPen. Find out more at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox.
I'm Carrie Larson, 50 years old. I've had type 1 since I was 4.5. So that's all I know. It's to me, it's just
that's all you know about everything, Carrie? Or you mean diabetes is all you know?
That's all yes, diabetes is all I know. It's literally a part of my daily life.
It was like,
but sometimes I do feel like that's all I know about everything.
Oh, okay. It was like you put the comma in the wrong place. You're like, and I died, and that's all I know. And I was like, okay.
I tend to do that.
50 years old. Yes. So I can help myself here. I was born in 71, so you were probably born in like 72 or 73. Right. And then you were 4.5 when you were diagnosed. So that was like 77. Just missed the bicentennial. Wouldn't that have been lovely?
Right. Yes.
So any brothers or sisters?
I was adopted, so I do not know any family history, which, and all doctors and everybody I always go to always look at me like, oh, okay. So, but no, I don't.
They have nothing to say. Do you have any adopted brothers and sisters?
No, I do not.
Your parents, one kid got you and they were like, this is enough.
Exactly. Yeah. What's funny is even though I'm a mom of 3, my dad still lectures me daily about how it's really smart to only have one child. Even in front of my children, he'll do that. And I'm like, hello?
How old's your father?
He's 83.
83.
He thinks he knows everything. He'll tell you he's the fountain of knowledge, literally.
Well, I don't know how that's possible when I'm the one who knows everything, but that's fine.
See?
Does he?
You guys are your own breed, I swear.
Has he designated which of your children were the mistakes, or does he not go that far?
No, he doesn't take it that far. Thank God.
And I told her not to have you.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't go that far. It's funny because he has brown eyes, and I always tell him how I know he's so full of shit is because his eyes are brown.
My goodness. That's fantastic. The kids take this in stride. How old are your children?
So our oldest is our daughter Miranda. She's 27. And then the middle is Brandon, and he is 24, and the baby is 18, and he's Charlie.
I love your father's over there going, you guys, look what you've done to her. Like,
seriously, yeah. No,
she would have had just one. Everything would have been so much better. Meanwhile, how are you doing with 3 kids? It's okay?
Good. Yeah, no, good. Yeah. They definitely keep me on my toes, and they're like my world. I wouldn't know what to do without them.
Of course. Any of them have any autoimmune stuff?
No. Okay. But I definitely, the more I've been learning, it's so funny because you think after 48 years with the disease that I probably would have already looked into this. I was taught actually for a very long time that the father's gene passes it on. And I don't know. I still don't know if that's true. Do you know? I have no idea.
I mean, that sounds like made up, but who told you that? Your dad? Because he's been wrong about a couple of other things already.
Actually, I did read it like in a medical journal. I think we used to live in England for a period of time. And I think I was in a doctor's office and there was like a magazine and I remember reading it. And I don't know if it was just like a recent study that had been done type thing or what, but I just remember reading that. And so for the longest time, that's what I believed. But now that I've been exposed to more, actually to the Juicebox, podcast and to just making friends online that are type 1, I'm like, this is clearly has never been true and is not true, so. Anyhow, but it's something I've thought about is getting them tested.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could definitely get them tested, but I don't see why it would be from one side or the other. Keeping in mind, I slept through a lot of high school, but I still don't, that doesn't make sense to me. Nevertheless.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree too, because it's just like, why would that be more dominant than, I agree.
I mean, is that a thing you heard like 40 years ago kind of a deal?
It's been at least 20 or 30 years ago. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I would say.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we don't know what we were doing 30 years ago, right?
No. Well, this is why I love to use diabetes for this example is, I feel like I was diagnosed in the dark ages. I mean, no, I wasn't not using glass syringes, but we didn't even test blood glucose levels at home. All of that was done at home or at the hospital. Children's Hospital LA is where I was treated for many, many years. And so we only used ketone urine sticks, so I feel like now looking at technology and how it's advanced, I just feel like that was definitely dark ages,
Yeah. Yeah. That's something. You missed, I mean, that's a long time ago, 40 some years. You were
right.
You were definitely like beef and pork insulin though, right?
In fact, it was, I want to say it was pork based. It was MPH and regular. And the MPH was cloudy. You had to like warm it up in your hands and mix it, and then the regular was just like, you could still buy good old fashioned regular nowadays over the counter without a prescription, I believe.
Sure.
And then we would mix the two. It wasn't 2 different injections. My mom would draw up one first and then the other. And it was one injection. But that's definitely how it started for me, for sure.
You remember when you went to a faster acting and a separate like basal insulin like Lantus? If you take insulin or sulfonylureas, you are at risk for your blood sugar going too low. You need a safety net when it matters most. Be ready with Gvoke HypoPen. My daughter carries Gvoke HypoPen everywhere she goes because it's a ready-to-use rescue pen for treating very low blood sugar in people with diabetes ages 2 and above that I trust. Low blood sugar emergencies can happen unexpectedly, and they demand quick action. Luckily, Gvoke HypoPen can be administered in 2 simple steps, even by yourself in certain situations. Show those around you where you store Gvoke HypoPen and how to use it. They need to know how to use Gvoke HypoPen before an emergency situation happens. Learn more about why Gvoke HypoPen is in Arden's Diabetes Toolkit at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. Gvoke shouldn't be used if you have a tumor in the gland on the top of your kidneys called a pheochromocytoma, or if you have a tumor in your pancreas called an insulinoma. Visit gvokeglucagon.com/risk for safety information.
I did that. And at the time it was only 2 injections a day.
Mhm.
It wasn't even more than that, which was strange. I didn't move to 4 injections a day until much, much later in life. In fact, I want to say my whole teenage years, I stopped going to Children's Hospital. Literally when I was 18, they're like, okay, you can't come here anymore. And I felt like I had been kicked to the curb,
Yeah.
For that many years, 14 years, I was definitely still on 2 injections a day. I remember my endo at the time trying to talk me into a pump, and I was scared to death of it. The thought of it scared me to no end. And so, no, I don't remember when I moved to a faster acting insulin. I think I went straight though from I don't remember. I can't even put my finger on it.
It's interesting. Do you have trouble with memory, or has it just been that long ago?
I feel like it's just been that long ago, but I do feel like my memory does challenge me. And I also feel like things that I have been hearing and reading lately, that part of that could be maybe connected to the type 1.
Could be, right? Yeah. What do you know or recall what your management was like through your first, say, 20 years?
I couldn't give you A1C numbers. I know that definitely my mom and I always battled. My mornings always ran high in the 200s, without a doubt. I have no idea A1C wise. I want to say that I steadily ran in the 8s. And I know that not terrible, but it's not great. But back then it probably was okay.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what okay meant? Like, what were they shooting for?
Oh gosh. I want to say that anything like 8 and under was okay. Like, I don't remember them ever talking about a low, like being too low or what normal was.
Yeah. They were just trying to stop from being too high.
Exactly.
Okay.
It was, in fact, back then, I remember the highs were the focus and not the lows, so to speak. And now I feel like, I've seen several endos throughout my history of having diabetes, that they're definitely more concerned now about lows than they are highs. I mean, especially they're concerned about highs if they're prolonged, but their biggest worry are the lows. They would rather actually. I think that most endos would rather see you run a little high than too low. In my experience anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's basically the perspective they come from. It's interesting because I don't love that mindset, honestly.
Yeah. I don't either. The more experience I have, and because I've had so many complications, I don't either. And it's really bizarre. I mean, I'm really jumping off subject kind of right now, but 8 years ago, I had a heart attack, and it was definitely due to uncontrolled blood sugars.
Wow.
Yeah. I was 42 years old. The cardiologist was like, this is definitely why, no doubt about it. Cause my husband and I were like, what 42-year-old comes in the hospital? And, and so it was really scary time in my life, but I learned very quickly that a patient who has had a heart attack, who is type 1, a low is actually scarier than running high because it's harder on your heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, we have a lot to pick through here, Carrie.
Right. I know. Right. I know. I've given you a lot at once.
No. Let me start with this. So you obviously you were diagnosed in a different time, and you're using basically, you were eating at certain times of day. That was it. You weren't checking your blood sugar. I don't even know if A1Cs were that prominent at that point.
They were actually, they did draw, but my it was my hugest fear when I was a kid going to see the endo, is I would literally out loud beg not to have my blood drawn because I was so afraid of having it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, so he always made a deal with me every other visit. Well, every visit was about every 3 months. And so we would do that. But so yes, A1Cs, I mean, they definitely did draw for them.
Okay.
Then.
But you were shooting for 8?
I think if I remember correctly, yes, I want to say 8. What sounded like something that they were happy to see.
Gotcha. And then you live like that for how long? Like, so the real question is like, when do you go to a modern management, the first modern management shift? What age, right?
Yeah. I honestly feel like it was many years. I think that modern management truly didn't happen for me until late teen. No, actually, I'm going to go ahead and say early 20s.
So like college age, like graduating from college age.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to college?
Mm-hmm. No, I did not.
Okay, so around mid, like 20.
Well, let me back step a little bit. I did. I went to trade school.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't go to a traditional, like 2-year or 4-year program. I just did a trade.
Do you practice the trade now?
I don't. Ever since my husband and I decided we moved out of the country. I couldn't work in the country that we lived in. And so, no, I don't. And I haven't since I had children.
You couldn't work in the country you lived in?
I know. Doesn't that sound so third world?
What context? Where were you?
England.
And England wouldn't let you work because you didn't have a visa?
A visa, yeah. I was just there as my husband. Well, we weren't even married when we first started going, but we were engaged. But no, I would have to apply separately from him. Mm-hmm. And even once we were married, I would have had to apply separately from him.
Gotcha.
So he was the provider, and that's how they saw it.
What trade did you study?
Actually, registered dental assisting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did that at some point, or no? You never actually did it?
I did it. And that was all stateside. I mean, when we lived here in the United States, yes, I did.
But when you ran away from the government to England, then you couldn't do it anymore.
Exactly. Right, yeah, right. Exactly.
Because you guys are spies? What is the exact real answer, Carrie?
My husband actually used to race motorcycles professionally. And so that's where it was most popular, was in England. And it's actually like he signed a contract to race for a team. It's team racing. Mm-hmm. And it's a season that would generally last from early spring to about October. So we were gone.
I'm sorry, you always attracted to dangerous boys, or is this one special? The podcast is sponsored today by Eversense CGM. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. With Eversense, there's no need for frequent sensor changes. No more sensors falling off, fewer failed sensors, and less skin irritations. And that means more comfort. With Eversense, you only need one sensor insertion every 6 months. And there's no need for constant sensor changes, which means less hassle. There's also no need to carry extra sensors with you, so that's less stuff to worry about. And you can say goodbye to unexpected disruptions from sensors falling off or being knocked off, because the Eversense CGM is implantable and the sensor stays comfortably in place for 6 months. The Eversense sensor is incredibly durable. And of course, that means fewer frequent unexpected sensor errors that happen before the end of the suggested wear time. But what do you really want to know about? Accuracy. The Eversense CGM performs exceptionally over its 6-month life. If you'd like more details or are interested in getting started, use my link, eversensecgm.com/juicebox. I'll be telling you a lot more about Eversense this year, so make sure you pay attention to upcoming advertisements. There you'll learn about the implantable sensor, the smart transmitter, and their mobile application. The Eversense CGM lasts up to 6 months, eliminating the hassle and discomfort of frequent sensor insertions. Simply put, it makes managing your diabetes so much easier. eversensecgm.com/juicebox.
No, this one was definitely special, for sure. For sure. That's funny.
Did your parents hate him?
No.
Really? With the motorcycles and everything?
Yeah. And my dad's a collector of old cars. And the first time he met Josh, he handed him a set of keys to drive one of his cars. And I my jaw hit the floor. So he definitely loved him.
Oh, no kidding. All right. Well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, your dad's got a specific opinion, so that's fine.
Definitely. Oh, by far.
So now I've got you going in your early 20s to probably Lantus and Humalog or something like that.
Yes.
And you're counting carbs now all of a sudden. Was that a big shift that you recall, or do you not? How do you think of it?
Yes. It was a big shift, the whole carb thing. In fact, I didn't even know that they affected your blood sugar. That's how, when I was diagnosed, I remember, and it's so funny because believe it or not, I can remember my mom, they did everything by exchanges and just looking at a portion type thing, which I suppose in certain ways, I don't know, it's been years since I've seen a dietitian, but I know, like they use the palm of your hand, like this is like 3 to 4 ounces of protein is ideal for a meal, so to speak. But the carb thing definitely was new to me. And it was kind of like learning diabetes all over again, to be honest.
Do you recall what happened there? Did your A1C go up or down? How was your control? Up. Okay.
I mean, I do clearly remember, like when I was in the hospital and I had my heart attack 8 years ago, I was at maybe even an 11, but it was definitely a 10 something. And
A1C?
Yes.
So at 42 years old, having had diabetes now for 38 some years, you had an A1C in the 10s at least.
Yes.
Did you not know how to do it better, or did you not try? What gets you there?
I actually didn't know how to do it better. And it's not that I didn't care, but like other things in life were more important to me. I know that sounds terrible, but I think I was over it. And and I had started a pump. I've been on a pump for 24 years now.
Okay.
And so I literally got the pump and I figured, it's giving me insulin 24 hours a day. I still don't need to, this can do all the work for me. I don't need to do anything.
Carrie, did you know that wasn't true, or did you just like to ignore it and hope that it would do something?
I felt like, for one, it was a hell of a lot better than just being on 2 injections a day.
So you're judging everything against where you started instead of against a valuable outcome for your health.
Yeah.
I see.
I said definitely guilty of that.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Where were you during your pregnancies? A1Cs?
England, actually.
No, I'm sorry, your A1Cs. My fault. Like, where did you keep your A1Cs during your pregnancies?
They were in the 7 and 8s.
How did you do that versus the 10s and 11s?
Because I was actually pregnant. All 3 of my pregnancies were in England. I saw really good endocrinologists. One in particular, I remember with my middle son, or actually maybe it was with the baby. He really drilled it into me. He's like, this has got to be at least, and this is funny because now this is 18 years ago.
Yeah.
You have to be at least an 8 or better. He said, I would love to see you like in a 7 or 6, but he says you cannot go above an 8.
Can you hear Jenny having a stroke right now? Like when you said, yeah, right. So now it's they want you in the 5s for pregnancy.
I know.
Yeah.
It's and I mean, just FYI, I'm a 6.7 right now.
Right.
And for me, that's like that's my lowest A1C ever.
Oh, that's great. Good
that I know of. Yeah. So that's a big deal for me, especially from where I came from.
Sure.
Not that I can't imagine being in the 5s and I would love to get like in the low 6s for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, think back when you were 10, could you imagine being in the 6s?
No,
right? Yeah.
I probably would have told you, are you kidding me? I'd be dead on the floor thinking that was just the mentality. So
yeah,
I didn't know better. My mom didn't even know better.
Sure.
It's funny what I can teach because my mom was very, very involved with my care. It's funny what I teach her now when I tell her things. And she's like, no, if I tell her right now, like, hey mom, my blood sugar is 85. Oh my God, that's too low. You need to go eat something. And I'm like, I feel fine. And she goes, no, you need mom. I promise you I'm okay. Like trying to retrain her brain, like to be like that is, it might not even be possible.
We'll just have your dad tell her he's right about everything. So it'll be fine.
Exactly.
Well, okay, wait a second. What are your complications besides the heart attack, which obviously is massive, but like what else has befelled you?
Let's see. So I have retinopathy. I've had several laser surgeries on my eyes, both eyes, and everything is stable, which I'm thankful for. And I'm not, my vision is not compromised because of it, but it was just scary to have them finally say, oh yeah, there's definitely signs of retinopathy. I went for many years without those signs up until probably about 5 years ago. And then let's see. And then what else? I feel like everything I'm learning is definitely related to the diabetes, like with the trigger fingers and Dupuytren's disease in my hands.
Yeah,
that's all related
for sure.
And that's once again under control. I did have surgery on my right hand. Best thing I did to have that stop. And then let's see what else. My God, the retinopathy, the Dupuytren's, and the trigger fingers, the heart attack.
Yeah, you don't have to have more. That's a fair amount. But do you feel like there's other things that have happened that you're not recalling at the moment?
I do. I feel like there's a couple little things I'm missing.
Do you have any neuropathy in your feet or your hands?
No.
No? Okay.
And I hate telling you no because I feel like I'm jinxing myself just because I feel like, my God, after this long.
That's not how it works. Don't worry. You can't jinx yourself.
I don't know.
But
I just, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, if my hand falls asleep when I'm asleep at night, I wake up and I'm like messaging my endo, like, oh my God. And he's like, Carrie, it's okay. He goes, I really don't think that's what it is. Okay. Thank you. But yeah, I feel like now I've had enough complications to where now anything happens, I'm like, it's gotta be the diabetes,
Are you nervous for more to happen?
Not really, to be honest with you. I feel like the heart attack was enough to not make me think or believe. And trust me, I know I'm at higher risk now for having another one simply because I've had one, even though I'm in good control. No, I'm not. I feel like at this point I could handle what was thrown at me, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I say that now.
What did the heart attack reveal? Were there blockages they had to take care of?
There were. I feel like I really got lucky there too. I only have one stent placed. I didn't have to have, like open heart surgery. I didn't have to have bypass or anything like that. I had one stent placed, but they definitely were quick to tell me that there is another there is other blockages, but they're not a great percentage enough. I didn't say that right, but they're not enough to do anything about yet. At this point, it would be too dangerous to do it's more dangerous to do something about it than to leave it alone.
Yeah.
At first, that really freaked me out.
Sure.
But so, I mean, I definitely took, the diabetes and really, really worked hard for a long time between me and my endo to get that A1C down. I mean, we were tweaking left and right. And so I'm much more confident about that, hopefully not ever needing to be a problem or, where they have to go in and do more stents. So, yeah. So I don't think I'm nervous waiting for something else.
Can you tell me what it felt like? Like, what was the lead up to the heart attack? Did you feel unwell for days? Did it come on quickly?
It was for days, actually. I mean, and then it's so weird when something like that happens to you, you really take the time to sit and look back and think, I've been having signs for a long time that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say for maybe a good 3 to 4 months.
Oh, maybe. No kidding. Tell me about it. What was happening?
Okay. So it was every time I would eat a big meal, and my biggest meal, and it's still to this day, my biggest meal is dinner. And that's when I would notice it the most. And I would eat dinner, and within a half an hour, I would get this weird pressure from my forearms down to the tips of my fingers on both arms. And it was just like, it never pain, but it was just like this immense pressure. Mm-hmm. And it would take like a complete hour for it to dissipate and kind of relax and go away. And so it was just weird. And it was very religious. It did that for, like I said, a good 3 or 4 months. And I remember at one point even saying to my teenage daughter at the time, like, maybe I need to call a doctor and let them know I'm having this symptom. Like, what is this about eating, especially dinner time? And then I recall, like, we had taken the family to a movie, and we had eaten dinner, gone to the movies, and sitting in the movie theater. And all of a sudden, I wasn't nauseous. I wasn't headache, but something just wasn't right. So I felt like I needed to get up and kind of walk around. So I did. I excused myself from the theater and went out and walked a little bit, kind of went in the ladies' restroom and just kind of stood there like, what the heck? Actually, I wasn't what the heck. And I'm like, what's going on? And I don't even remember exactly what I was feeling. Like I said, it was just something just was off. The night that I think that I actually had the heart attack, it was actually Christmas Eve, 2015, and actually the day before. And we had gone out to dinner with the family, and we went back home, and here comes these symptoms in my forearms. And this time it didn't dissipate, and the pressure was worse, and I was really restless. I couldn't get comfortable. Once I tried to go to bed, I couldn't. I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. And just super restless. Something wasn't right. But once again, I didn't know what, apart from my arms were aching terribly.
Both arms.
And yes, okay. Both arms. And just like I said, from my elbow down to the tips of my fingers, never like up ever. I went through the night tossing and turning. And finally the next afternoon, or actually that morning, I woke up and I'm totally sick to my stomach. Even so, I'm testing my blood sugar like manually. And I think at that point, the highest my blood sugar got was like 220. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know for some people that's like, oh my God, that would be kind of a normal high, so to speak, when I get high.
Right.
So I knew it wasn't high, like something like, okay, this is definitely diabetes related. I'm like, what? Like, this is weird, or it wasn't like I was in DKA or something like that. Or sure. So anyhow, and at that point, my husband's like, you know what, screw this. We're going to the hospital. And then I flipped my lid because I'm scared to death of other people's needles besides my own. And I knew that they would do every test to me known to man. Sure enough, he got me into the emergency room. And as soon as he told them my symptoms, they rushed me straight back. My EKG was completely normal. And it wasn't until they drew blood and got my results back that they saw the blood level or that I had they're like, you had a heart attack. And I'm like, I for one, I didn't believe them. I was in complete denial that was what happened. Anyhow, yeah, that's my heart attack story. And it was scary as hell.
No kidding. How long to recover?
Till I was back to, I mean, I don't know, like a week or so, like to where I wasn't like completely exhausted. And, of course they put me on all kinds of new meds. And so adjusting to all that. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was really okay quite quickly, to be honest. I think a lot of it has to do with because they immediately, alleviate that blockage. So it was pretty quick. Probably more than anything, the medication is what messes with you more than anything, because they've got you on blood pressure, on cholesterol, and all those have so many side effects that they're the ones,
Mm-hmm. Carrie, can I ask you a question? Today, years later, what is your understanding of how your diabetes gave you these heart issues?
Running too high for way too many years.
But do you know functionally how that happens?
No, I don't, do. Actually.
I was just wondering if they told you. That's all.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So what happens is that with an elevated blood sugar, there's more glucose in your blood than is supposed to be there, and it rubs veins, arteries, everything. Everywhere blood flows is being kind of scraped by the extra glucose in there.
Okay.
And eventually you wear thin somewhere, right?
Right.
And then your body patches it over.
Okay.
And then it wears thin and it patches it over. And before you know it, the patches block the passageway.
Gotcha.
That's what happens.
Okay.
So when people, so
no one has ever explained that to me.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting, right? Because if it was your vision, right? Oh, I'm losing my vision. Well, that's the same thing as having a heart attack. So
interesting.
Rub through, patch over, rub through, patch over, more patching, blocks the flow. And now that suddenly that pathway doesn't do what it's supposed to do anymore. In the case of a heart attack, it's not delivering blood or returning whatever to your heart. And in your eyes, it could just be, choking off little capillaries, that kind of, when it's neuropathy, same thing.
Okay.
Neuropathy.
Makes sense. It makes sense though.
Yeah. So I used to talk about it on the podcast more often, but what I would basically say is that when your blood sugar is too high, now listen, if it goes up to 150 and comes back down at dinner time, this is not what's happening to you. But if it's, if it's 150 for the rest of your life, if it's 220 all the time, that kind of stuff, you're sandblasting yourself from the inside out. That's pretty much what you're doing. And so, if someone says, at the end of your life, like, oh, they had a stroke, due to type 1 diabetes. They had a heart attack due to type 1 diabetes. They lost their foot because of it. Their kidneys stopped working. It's all the same problem. Too much sugar in your blood.
Right.
And not enough sugar in your blood. And you know what happens then? Your brain shuts off.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what a fun balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Like basically the glucose is it's the energy that your brain runs off of.
It's so true.
Yeah. Too much of it, you get foggy and slow. It is
crazy. It always blows my mind how long it takes to recover from a low blood sugar. Sometimes longer than others, but, and then it trips me out. Well, it doesn't trip me out. I just feel like they just don't understand that. People don't understand that. People around me,
So far, the most fascinating thing about your story to me is that you've had diabetes for like almost 50 years and you don't know that much about it.
You know what? I don't.
Yeah.
And I swear
you're not the only one,
it's...
Carrie. I'm not coming down on you. Like, this is just how it is. Yeah.
No, I swear to you, I learn more because of social media.
Mm-hmm.
And, social media gets so shamed and so put down these days. But for me, I'm like, bullshit. I've learned, I feel like my access to learning more about type 1 would be gone, if it wasn't for that.
Let me share this with you. My father-in-law ended up in the hospital a couple weeks ago. And he went to a local hospital that I can't believe he went to, because as soon as he got there, I was like, they're going to kill him. And like, it's not a great place. Right. And so he comes home a few days later with zero answers to any of his questions. But they took him off all of his medications, in case one of these is doing it. And, some of those medications, Carrie, he takes because he's in congestive heart failure. He's 76 years old. He had a heart attack when he was 50. He's a lifelong smoker till he had his heart attack, like that kind of stuff. Like he's being kept alive by these medications.
Right.
76 years old. The guy in the white coat told him to not take this medicine anymore. He stopped taking it.
Mm-mm.
And not like 3 days later, he's back in the hospital. This time we got him to a good one. His body's retaining water. He's got to go on Lasix. He's in heart failure because he's, has congestive heart failure. And the only thing keeping him alive is this medication. So we get him all straight. My wife and I are down there talking to him yesterday. And I just finally thought, like, this is no different than the podcast. I was like, Dad, do you understand why this happened? Thinking it's obvious, right? Like, he's got congestive heart failure. He takes medication to keep it at bay. These new medications for congestive heart failure are freaking amazing. Like, he could kind of live for goddamn ever with congestive heart failure, it feels like.
Right.
But without it, he's going to die and die pretty quickly.
Right.
He did not know. He didn't understand what the medication was for. I don't know that he knew that congestive heart failure meant that he would die without the medication. Like, it was fascinating to see, like, he doesn't know what's happening to him, but then you don't either. So most people don't.
No, and it's so funny because I really consider myself, I'm a huge advocate for advocate for yourself when it comes to medical professionals, because I mean, no disrespect, but sometimes I feel like when it comes to my diabetes, they don't know shit. I don't mean to sound so disrespectful, but I just feel like over the years, if I did everything they said, I don't know. I don't agree with a lot of it.
Carrie, how much do you think you need to know about congestive heart failure not to take a 76-year-old man off his congestive heart failure medication?
Yeah, now see, that blows my mind too. And
shouldn't.
once I have a grandmother who battled it years ago and died because of it. So I am a little familiar, just a little, with the disease.
It shouldn't blow your mind at all, Carrie. It shouldn't blow your mind at all.
I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I've actually been in the hospital for something that wasn't related to my type 1. And I was almost going to discharge myself because they wouldn't treat a low for me.
Yeah.
And I could, and my blood sugar was 50 and dropping. And I'm like, okay, either I go home right now and I'm going to be treating myself as I walk out of here because I'm going to go find where you keep your apple juice, or I can't give you control of my diabetes. I refuse to. I had to actually sign legal paperwork to say that I was in charge.
I'm going to tell you that I don't know that it really matters what we're talking about. It could be politics. It could be, your local school district making some very strange decision. It could be my local municipality who decided that they won't take my recycling if it's in the wrong color bin. And then when I say to them, what am I going to do with all this recycling here? Carrie, you haven't heard this. This is a thing I've ranted about in a recording that hasn't come out yet, but I had all this extra recycling because they didn't take my recycling because it was in the wrong color bin. And I said, God, what am I supposed to do with all this recycling? You guys only come twice a month. And she said, store it on your property until next month. And I said, well, I have no place to put it. And even if I did, I'll have too much, because I don't have enough bins that are the right color. And as I'm having this ridiculous conversation, right, about the colors of trash cans, the person on the phone offers to me as a fix, I should just throw out my recycling. And I said, well, then what in God's name are we doing any of this for if I can just throw it away? Why the hell are we even doing that? Yeah, I mean, what are you saying to me? You're the recycling lady. That you're telling me to throw my recycling away?
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I mean, if you don't have anywhere to put it. I was like, that's it, huh? That's where your common sense got you. That's fascinating. So whether it's them or it's the highest levels of government, or it's a nurse in an ER that doesn't understand your diabetes, or a doctor that would take my no one knows what they're talking about. Okay.
No, they sure as hell don't. They sure as hell don't. I've definitely learned that. I mean, oh my God. My kids make fun of me when I have to call customer service for Dexcom or my insurance company, God forbid. Oh God, don't get me started there. Or, I mean, and especially when they send me, which I feel like, to another country to speak to a representative who I can hardly understand. And they're telling me things that I know better. I'm like, I can't even, my kids like literally are like, oh my God, Mom, you are so mean. And I'm like, I can't help it. When they're being stupid, I can't help it.
I don't know if I've been clear enough in the past, but this whole thing, you're just lucky that it works. Like, and I'm talking about society, like just everything. Like, it's all just randomly working. Because it's certain,
I think it's pure luck.
It's certainly not that everybody's carrying their fair share. That's for sure. That's for damn sure. But at the same time, like I'm not even upset about it. I don't not understand what happens. Like, listen, it's very simple. Like, you have an ability to think. I have an ability to think. Everyone does. Our abilities are different, right? You can see in like simple studies, like even where your IQ falls, it pretty much shows what kind of job you're going to have. Like, right.
Absolutely.
Like, and the smartest people don't hold the jobs that you think of as being the most important. So like the people with the highest IQs are not doctors.
No.
Generally speaking. Now they're not people with the lowest IQs. I'm not saying that. But like, like you start thinking about like genius level people, 130s, 140s, 150s, and their IQs like super smart. Those people don't generally end up being doctors. It's more people in like more like 100, 110, 120 IQs end up being doctors and all different kinds of things. My point is this I feel like I'm all over the place, but just stick with me for a second. I got yelled at recently online for cavalierly saying that people don't use their common sense. And this person made this point to me, like, common sense, like not everybody has it. And even when they have it, it doesn't work to the level of someone else's. So like, while you're just saying, just use your common sense, like, the person said to me, like, you have to have some respect for the fact that you might have more than other people do. And I had never thought of it that way. I just thought common sense was... I was just going
to say, I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way. Like, you have more common sense than the next person. Or, maybe your ability to rationalize it while you're using it or whatever, but not everyone's got the same processing power is what I've learned to think of it. It doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't make them good people. It's just in some situations they're overmatched. And because we're talking about diabetes all the time, tend to be like, oh, the medical community, blah, blah. It's not just there.
Right.
Like, I don't, it's literally just everywhere. Like everyone is outmatched by something. And frequently you run into people who are outmatched by the thing they're doing.
It's so true.
Not always, but a lot.
A lot.
And instead of just saying like, this is a human issue, we say things like doctors don't understand, or, politicians don't know what they're doing, or like, that's the stuff we say. It's people. It's just people.
Right.
We're outmatched. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's true. No, it's true. Yeah.
There's a lot going on and we can't keep it all straight all the time.
Right.
And so
very true.
Because listen, I'm talking to you now for 45 minutes. You're a lovely lady. You've got 3 children. You're making your way through the world. You're doing a great job. Right. And yet you don't understand why you had a heart attack. No,
I never literally had never been explained to me like that. And I've seen more than one cardiologist, Yeah.
No one stopped and told you.
No.
Because, and here might be a good reason to tell you, how about so it doesn't happen again?
Right.
Right? But no, nothing. Just, you have diabetes. Yep. Like, okay, thanks.
And I'll never forget the morning I was discharged from the hospital. The nurse came in and literally gave me a packet of printed information. I swear to God, it was 2 inches thick, and said, definitely look through this. And I'm thinking to myself, the hell? And then she said, you need to lose weight. And I'm like, okay. But they didn't set up any follow-up appointments with
Carrie, read this, fatty. Okay, now get out of here. Yeah, right?
Yeah. I swear to
Thanks
God, that's how I was discharged. I'm not even kidding you. I can't even. Yeah.
I'm so upset. That's fascinating. Really. And trust me, she didn't know what she was talking about either. She just did the things she was supposed to do by giving you the packet. And then probably
so that she could legally discharge me. Yeah.
And then in her head, she probably thought if this lady lost some weight, she might not have a heart attack. Meanwhile, I don't know if that's true or false. It's the thing that occurred to her to say, because obviously that was an off the cuff statement.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Nobody sent her in there and said, give them this paperwork and tell her she's to lose weight. That's not what happened. Yeah.
No, she. Yeah, no, it still makes me laugh to this day. I'm like, you got to be me that really? Okay, cool. Peace out. I'm out.
Carrie, are you in the Midwest?
I'm in California.
You're in California. This is where the heart attack happened?
Yes.
Southern, northern?
Southern, yeah.
Okay. Nowhere safe.
Yeah, no, literally. Because, you look at we have some really great medical facilities, but
do you?
No, I'm just, well, I know it makes you question. Do you? I'm thinking, maybe not,
Well, sure, you have great medical facilities, but it's more about I have such a hard time parsing my way through this because I think it's such a big abstract idea, but it's not the facility. It's the way that it's done, right? It's the execution that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I feel like insurance dictates so much of how much time you're allotted as a patient and the resources you're allowed to get your hands on or not get your hands on, or the trials you're allowed to be a part of and not be a part of.
Yeah, the way it's all set up is the doctors have no time to be with you. But at the same time, then instead of just saying, it's the system, and then, that's it. Here, give her a handout, why not adjust somehow or teach the nurses the right thing to say or spend, listen, you're a doctor of cardiology, sit down, record yourself and make your recordings available online so people can go access them later. Right. Say, look, I have a recording. It's a link here. It's going to explain to you what happened to you. It's going to explain how to avoid it the next time.
Exactly.
And after you're done with that, go over to my guy over here as an endocrinologist. He's going to explain your diabetes to you because, Carrie, you're not doing a great job. And I know based on where you started 45 years ago, you're killing it, but modern execution, you're pretty far off. And
Right.
you've already had a heart attack at 42. I mean, you're on the fast track to being dead by the time you're 60.
I know. And now that when you said, are you afraid of more things happening? That is definitely one of my fears is I probably won't outlive my husband. And I hope I get to see my grandchildren, type thing. So
well, listen, you keep after that husband. You'll kill him. That's not hard. Like just keep pressuring him the way you're doing it. He'll give up.
Right.
But see, Carrie, I don't think that's the case. I think that I think that you understand your management now.
Right.
And a lot of these things,
and thank God,
a lot of these things that are happening to you, I'm not saying they can be reversed, but you can kind of freeze them in time a little bit if you're lucky.
Right.
You said you have a 6'7" now. How did you accomplish that?
Literally by just being, well, for one, the CGM. I was not ever wearing a CGM until 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start wearing one till right after my heart attack. Even though I had been exposed to it, it was through Medtronic the first time I was exposed.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I just had a really bad experience with alarms going off constantly, whether it was for too high, too low, I swear to God, it would tell me if my shoelaces were untied. I don't know. It was just, there were these constant alarms and I just said, screw this thing, get it off me. So definitely the CGM changed my life for better by far. And that was with Dexcom, and still is. I actually took the initiative to switch from, let's see, who was it? Medtronic. And I went to T-Slim, and that's still where I am now.
Okay.
I think even making that, this sounds really silly. Not that I couldn't have accomplished a better A1C with Medtronic, but just switching from one pump company to the other and having a nurse come in and train me on how to use it.
Oh.
I felt like I learned so much from her too.
Okay.
So, and being more user-friendly with my T-Slim. And so then that helped me stay on top of my blood sugars more and bring the A1C down. But I definitely have to attribute most of it to the CGM without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting too? If you've had it for so long, everyone just assumes you understand it because you're alive.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need us to explain this to you because you've had this forever.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me ask this as a question. Because you were alive and, 20 years ago, not having problems, did you not think I'm doing a great job?
No, I knew I wasn't doing a good job.
So even though you weren't having problems at the time, you still knew it wasn't going the right way.
And I knew I could do much better. Definitely.
What stopped you from doing that?
I think I didn't know where to start type thing. I felt like I was in so deep. I didn't know or taking the time to do it. Who has time to do that?
I understand.
I think
busy.
That was more my attitude.
Yeah, I'm busy. This is, and in the end, did you think it was never coming for you?
I felt like I had, God, I don't have any complications. It must not be that bad. I think that was my attitude.
Okay. Because if you told me like a murderer was coming for me, I'd be like, I'm going to make time to get away from this. But
right.
Yeah. I'd be like, I think
I never thought of it like that. But you know what? I don't know why. Like, what a dumbass. Like, why didn't I think of it like that? Seriously.
My God, Carrie, can I call this episode What a Dumbass? That's hilarious.
Yeah, you actually you would never, that would never offend me.
No, I appreciate your honesty though. Like, seriously, because, I think what happens is that people with diabetes can get caught up in the idea of numbers. I got a good number. I got a bad number. I'll get a better number next time.
Yeah.
You never couple together the numbers with the future for some reason.
Yeah, no. I definitely did not.
Yeah.
Did not. And now, without a doubt, that's definitely why I strive to get my numbers better.
Right.
And I know I can do much better with the A1C at a 6.7. And I am comfortable where I am, but I definitely, like I said, my goal right now is to get it to the low 6s. If I ever saw a 5, I probably would fall over.
But why? Why do you say that?
Why? Because I feel like, well, for one, I never even knew that it was safe for it to be that low.
But now, right?
Well, yeah, I know now.
Okay.
So, but I think I would fall over, meaning like holy crap, I actually did this.
Well, I think you could do it. So listen, we've danced around it a little bit here, but did you learn a lot of this from the podcast?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, to realize, and I'm actually still I'm at the point where I'm a little offended when someone tells me that my A1C is high. I'm like,
because you've had an 11. You're like, I got it to a 6-7. Come on.
Yeah. And that's when I feel like I want to tell them my story and be like, okay, look, you have no idea where I've come from. Like, this is, so for me, like, this is a huge accomplishment.
You know who doesn't care about that?
Who?
Your next heart attack doesn't give a shit about how far you've come.
I know. Right? I know.
Right. So, like, why are you stuck in that?
I don't know. I can't even answer. I don't know why.
We answered it a half an hour ago. You just have to apply it together, Carrie. I'm trying to bring you full circle here. Go ahead. It's people. It's just how we handle things. You've done so well for yourself, and you have. And you've come so far, and you have, that you feel like you're done even though you're not.
Right.
Yeah. Right?
But I do have my days where I'm like, damn, how rad would that be? And how good? I mean, I already feel so much better than I did, but there's still, I want to feel that much better.
Yeah, I don't care how you feel anymore. What I care about is extra sugar in your blood scraping little holes and things.
Right.
That's what I care about. Right.
Right.
And so,
no.
And is a 6-7 going to give you a heart attack? I'm not a magic person. I don't understand how everything works.
Right.
What I can tell you is that for my kid, I just shoot for lower, less, better, not too low.
Right.
And you might do a 6-7 your whole life and keep it nice and steady and live to be 90 years old. Like, I don't see that can't happen. Right. Like, I don't see that can't happen at all. But I don't know. You don't know. And as long as we don't know and you think you could do a 6, then do a 6. What stops you from doing a 6? Are you not pre-bolusing your meals?
Okay. So I just learned about that. I'm like, pre-bolus. Okay. Well, no, that makes me sound really behind the times and kind of stupid.
It just makes you sound like you're being honest. Don't worry about that. That's fantastic.
Well, I feel like I've known what pre-bolusing is for a long time now, but pre-bolusing used to be like 10 minutes. And then listening to some of the Pro series, I just learned that a pre-bolus can be all the way up to 30 minutes, depending on the person.
On your situation, right? Yeah.
And your situation. And I am that person 9 times out of 10. Not always, but 9 times out of 10, I am that person.
Also, I like when people say, like, well, I pre-bolus, but I'm like, but your blood sugar was 250 when you bolus. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's not a pre-bolus a meal. That's a correction for the 250. What about the pre-bolus for the meal and the food? Yeah,
right, exactly. No, and right, exactly. You have to take, I mean, that's a whole nother category.
Carrie, I'm interested, after talking to you, what I'm realizing here is you're in the infancy of your understanding of your management right now.
Literally.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn.
That's so exciting for you.
Yeah, no, and it's fascinating. It's not discouraging for me. It's like, holy crap, there really is a light at the end of all these tunnels.
Yeah.
There's more than one tunnel. For one, there's more than one tunnel. And for two, I can definitely see there's a light at the end of them.
Let me ask you, based on something you said earlier, do you still have weight to lose?
Yes.
So in your note, you actually asked about like Ozempic.
Right.
Do you remember that? Like, is that a thing you've considered?
I've taken all of them.
Oh, wait a minute.
We haven't even touched there yet.
Are you using one right now?
Yes.
Which one?
I feel like I feel like, oh my God, this could be the end of this tunnel for me. And maybe there isn't light. I started years ago with, not years ago, 5-6 years ago with Trulicity.
Right.
And that's where I was able to like cut my doses almost in half.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost about 24 or 25 pounds. It kind of goes between 24 and 25 pounds.
Yeah. Any chance you have PCOS, Carrie?
No one has ever said anything.
Do you think you might or no? Just insulin resistance?
Yes, okay. I do. I truly believe I do.
Okay.
And I've voiced that to my endocrinologist. And that's actually how I got started on these drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I also take metformin.
Okay.
So I'm obviously on the pump. I take metformin, and now I'm using Mounjaro.
How long for the Mounjaro?
It's only been I think I'm going on shot 7. So not even a complete 2 months yet. And of course, they start you at the very bottom.
Yeah, you're on 0.5 right now.
Yes.
Okay, you got 1 more 0.5, then you go to, what do you go to after that? 2.5?
I think it's 7 point. No, I'm on 5. So it's 2.5, 5, and then it goes to
7.5. Yeah.
7.5. Yeah.
I'm on 7.5 right now. I'm about ready to move to 10.
See, and I've heard that 10 is where you're going to see your improvements.
That's what the doctor told me. Yeah. So I'm super excited.
So you've been, okay. So me too. I'm like, oh my God, I can't get there quick enough. But everyone's like, no, you have to go through the hoops. You have to go through 4 injections of each one, you know? And I'm like, ah.
Yeah, you could get clogged. First of all, it's nice. I'm glad you're tolerating it. That's fantastic. So yeah, just stick to the process. So like where I'm at right now, and it's not for diabetes, but obviously it impacts my insulin use, which is helping me lose weight. I started at 236. I'm 189 today.
Okay.
But I've been as low as 183.
Okay.
And so I think in the last month, in the last month. So like I started taking this over-the-counter supplement to help with my bowel movements be better. And they are helping, but I'm gaining weight. So I'm not sure how to figure this all out. And I actually went to the doctor on Saturday and she's like, you've been putting on a couple of pounds. She goes, yeah. She goes, don't worry. When we move you to the 10, then you're really going to see it. I'm like, I've already so I lost at one point, I was up to 50 pounds, but now I'm like 44 pounds I've lost.
Right.
And she's like, wait till you see when you get to the 10. And I was like, all right, lady, I'm in. Like, let's go.
Right.
I think I have right now where I sit at 189.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I don't maybe have 20 more pounds to lose about there.
Right.
And then there's not an ounce of fat on my body after that.
Right.
What you care about is that I just booked a recording with a doctor from Austin, Texas, Dr. Tom Blevins. He's going to come on and talk about GLPs.
Okay.
He's a proponent. He's an endocrinologist. He's going to come on and talk about functionally how they work and that kind of stuff. And I've had a number of people on this year already, like from like little kids, like 13-year-old using Wegovy, whose insulin needs, oh my God, her insulin needs went from 70 units a day to 7.
Wow.
She's probably she's probably like honeymooning, probably like a long honeymoon, but had so much insulin resistance, they think from PCOS maybe, that, it turned what looked like full-blown type 1 back into like, oh, this is like in its infancy still.
Wow.
You're hearing a lot of people using GLPs and their insulin needs going down. So when you started it, did you see a decrease in your insulin when you started the Mounjaro?
Yeah, that was actually the first thing that started, or not with Mounjaro, not yet. When I started with the Trulicity, that's what happened to me first.
But you haven't seen a need in a reduction yet with the, by the way, it's Mounjaro. I don't know. Why don't they just call it like, I ain't fat anymore, number 1. And so, so you haven't seen a dip in the last 7 weeks?
No, I've made a couple tweaks. Actually, if anything, I've just recently noticed like the foot on the floor syndrome in the morning when I get up. And I'm so pissed off about that because my morning blood sugars are always so good. And now I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even had a sip of coffee yet. And this is rising. Like, what the heck is going on?
Okay.
So I've noticed that. So I've had to increase. But then in the late afternoon, I've had to decrease because I have this bizarre thing that while I'm cooking dinner and doing my evening chores, my blood sugar wants to just start dropping like crazy. And I'm like, oh, no, you don't, because I don't want to treat a low blood sugar. I'm just getting ready to eat dinner. Why? Anyhow, so I have decreased there, but no, I have not decreased insulin yet due to the Mounjaro.
Oh, I'm super interested to see what happens then. Like, so.
Me too.
Yeah. As to.
Because I feel like I plateaued with not with that, definitely with the weight loss. But my first concern and reason for going on all this was the insulin resistance.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
For sure.
Have you lost weight in 7 weeks?
No.
Not yet. Okay. I see. Oh, this is interesting. How much do you think you have to lose? Would you share?
I would be stoked if I could. I mean, if I could do another 20, and I'm at 189 too, by the way.
We can fight, Carrie. We're in the same age, age and weight class.
Ooh. me with a good time. I love that. So funny.
So how tall, can I ask how tall you are?
Yeah, I'm 5'5".
Okay. So you see, isn't it funny how we talk about weight? Because I did this too. I did the I was 236. I was like, I could probably lose 20 pounds. I lost 20 pounds and I was like, drop in the bucket. I lost 30 pounds. I was like, I need to lose way more weight than I thought. And watching it go down and down, you'll be surprised when it starts moving for you. You'll be surprised, my experience at least, as the number falls, you think, I had a very inconsistent view of myself. Inconsistent with reality view of myself.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could definitely lose 40 pounds and not look too skinny or too or not look unwell,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I wish you a ton of luck with that. That's good news that how did you get your doctor to cover it or your insurance? Are you paying cash for it?
No. My insurance has always covered it from day one. And I feel I swear to you, I'm waiting for the day where they're like,
What's the diagnosis that got you Mounjaro?
I don't know exactly how he's writing writing for it. So the insurance covers. I could have sworn at one point he told me, he goes, well, you can be type 2 as well. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, this is the new move from some doctors. They're diagnosing you as type 1 and type 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way they're not going to catch on to that at some point.
Right. That's why I'm like, okay, this has got to be too good to be true.
Why can't he just give you Zepbound for weight loss? It's the same drug. No offense, your BMI supports it. Just do that.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, as long as it's working, just shut your mouth and do it. But if they push back, just have them move you to Zepbound.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I've never even thought of that, but that's a great, and I love my endo. I swear anything I suggest, he is not opposed to. I mean, as long as it's within reason.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely finally found my person as far as for one, he will totally listen to me and let me speak my mind.
Nice.
And values my opinion and actually will ask, okay, are you okay with this? What's your opinion? What do you think?
Yeah.
Where, he's not just because he wears the white coat, he's in charge. And I freaking love that.
I'm glad you found somebody you like. That's very important.
Yeah. It's a big, big deal.
Yeah.
For sure. So anyhow, he would definitely be open for things for me to try. And
yeah, listen, if your insurance is willing to cover it, that's fine. My insurance only covers it for weight loss if you don't have type 2 diabetes. So I'm on Zepbound, which is Mounjaro. It's the same drug. It's just labeled differently.
Right.
I hope these insurance companies come around in the next year or so because, I know they're still they're opening up new manufacturing plants, all these companies,
yes.
But this stuff is really valuable for a lot of people.
It is. And, for a long time, it was frustrating for me the reason why I've jumped around to different ones is because I couldn't get them anymore.
Yeah, no, you were doing the dance. You were like, I'll try Wegovy. I'll go to Ozempic. I'll try this one. Yeah. Since you started an injectable, a once weekly injectable, how much weight have you lost?
25 pounds.
Okay. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I still don't regret. And it's a lifetime drug. But you see, for me, I feel like I've also learned that there are very good reasons to keep taking it, not just for the diabetes, but for my heart as well.
Well, yeah. How about the studies are showing people having far fewer heart issues on it too?
Exactly. Yeah. Because of it's the better for the blood pressure, better for the cholesterol. So yes. So it's definitely a lifetime drug for me.
Yeah, Carrie, yes, you had high A1Cs, but you're also overweight. These are all factors for heart attack.
And I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure.
Has that cleared?
Yes.
My doctor did my vitals on Saturday, and she whispered or mumbled under her breath like a kid twice while she was taking my vitals.
What? Really?
Yeah, because my blood pressure was so good, and my BP and my pulse and everything she measured manually. She's like a kid. You look like a kid here with these numbers. She kept saying it.
That's awesome.
I was like, goddamn right, cool. Lady. I was like, this is it. It's I'm going to live forever. I said that, she laughed.
Right.
But I don't think I'm actually going to live forever, but I actually think I'm going to live longer than I would have without the GLP. That's for sure. I like when people say it's a lifelong drug. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. So,
right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's what, when people are like, but you're going to have to take that forever. Goddamn right. I'm taking it forever.
Simple minds carry simple minds. You understand?
See?
What have I told you? That? Listen, I'm not making fun of anybody. Like, listen, I seriously, you're walking around with a 95 IQ. I don't judge you. I don't judge anybody. It's all about processing speed. It's like you buy a computer with 8 megs of RAM. It can do less work than a computer with 16 megs of RAM. Like it doesn't make one a bad computer and a good computer. I'm like, genuinely not coming down on people. I think what can happen sometimes is we end up putting 8 meg computers in 16 meg jobs sometimes. And then we get mad at it for running slow. And that literally, I think, is the problem. Like, I realize there's only so many people to do so many jobs. But I mean, back to my original example from this one, I don't know how. You don't have to be that smart not to take a heart failure patient off their heart failure meds. Like that just
that just doesn't make sense. I mean, it don't have to be that smart. Right. Yeah.
I don't know, Carrie. I can't. Sometimes I just get to the point where I'm like,
where you literally do not know what to, you're okay. Yeah. Just took the words. There are no thoughts right now.
You stand back and you go, every one of you motherfuckers is trying to kill me. I see what's happening
Seriously.
now. Yeah.
Seriously.
Okay. Yeah. That's what, when people say advocate for yourself, that's what they should tell you. They should tell you this is goddamn Mad Max. All right.
Seriously. Oh, it's not. Yeah, no,
get out there and fight, or someone's going to drive you over with their car that has teeth on the front of it. So,
yeah. I mean, people who say there's no need to get so upset. Bullshit.
You're all trying to kill me. That's all.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, from the person who goes, oh, Carrie, that's a lifelong drug. Is it, asshole? Thanks.
Really? Yeah, no.
Appreciate it. Yeah. You and your deep thoughts. Good job. Yeah. All right. That's enough of me, Carrie. I'm going to get myself in trouble. We're done. All right. I appreciate you doing this with me, having this conversation. Thank you very much.
No problem. I've actually learned from just talking with you like this. You must meet my dad.
Oh, please. I'll tell him how wrong he is. What do you think of that?
Right. Oh, I would love to hear someone. I would love it.
I just want to be clear here at the end. There's a mass amount of things I don't understand at all. I just want to be, but the things I don't understand, I know to go find somebody else who does.
Right.
That's my thing. Like you got to know what you don't know.
Yes.
It's very important. All right. Let me say goodbye. Thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. Hold on for me for 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
I want to thank the Eversense CGM for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast and invite you to go to eversensecgm.com/juicebox to learn more about this terrific device. You can head over now and just absorb everything that the website has to offer, and that way you'll know if Eversense feels right for you. eversensecgm.com/juicebox. This episode was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. I want you to go find them on Facebook, Instagram, and give them a follow, and then head to touchedbytype1.org, where you're going to learn all about their programs and resources for people with type 1 diabetes. A huge thank you to one of today's sponsors, Gvoke Glucagon. Find out more about Gvoke HypoPen at gvokeglucagon.com/juicebox. You spell that GVOKEGLUCAGON.com/juicebox. Are you starting to see patterns, but you can't quite make sense of them? You're like, oh, if I bolus here, this happens, but I don't know what to do. Should I put in a little less, a little more? If you're starting to have those thoughts, if you're starting to think, this isn't going the way the doctor said it would, I think I see something here, but I can't be sure. Once you're having those thoughts, you're ready for the Diabetes Pro Tip series from the Juicebox Podcast. It begins at episode 1000. You can also find it at juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu, and you can find a list in the private Facebook group. Just check right under the featured tab at the top. It'll show you lists of a ton of stuff, including the Pro Tip series, which runs from episode 1000 to 1025. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. If you're not already subscribed or following the podcast in your favorite audio app like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do that now. Seriously, just to hit follow or subscribe will really help the show. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.